that was 2 minutes too late. All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself, Marcellus Wiley, anti-neighbor. I say it right now. I don't talk to anybody on my street. And Emmanuel Acho.
I mess with my neighbors, man.
Why?
I guess I'm the odd guy out.
Why? What do you want, some apple pies when their cousins come in town? What are you talking to them about? Hello? Anybody? Okay. Thistle Pink over here. I just learned that's what he's wearing right now. He looks immaculate. So let's get it started. In New England, draft is approaching and rumors are flying everywhere that the Patriots can move up in the first round. Robert Kraft recently said the lack of production from their draft picks sparked the need for their free agency spending spree. Bill Belichick was asked about that and said the mission has not changed to do what's best for the team. But he added, they're, quote, always looking to do a better job. So Acho and your Thistle Pink, how much pressure is on Bill Belichick to nail this draft?
It's a lot, Sel, and everybody's going to take the lazy approach, even like you're looking at me now thinking this. You're thinking, oh, Robert Kraft putting pressure on him. That's not where I'm going at all, right? Let's talk about what nobody's yet to talk about. Bill Belichick turned 69 years of age today.
Yes.
Correct? Happy birthday,
Respect.
Bill. Happy birthday, William. So with that being said...
Call him Bill. You better not ever. That's why he didn't pick you up. That's why he didn't draft you, free agency, nothing. You better call that man Bill.
Respect.
Okay.
So if he's 69 years of age right now, Sel, and what we know is even future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks who ascend above the mold, it takes them 2 years to win the Super Bowl. And they did it as fast as possible.
Okay.
So, Bill Belichick, best case scenario, even assuming you do nail this draft, Belichick and Patriots fans, you're still talking, what, 71 years of age? Best case scenario for Bill Belichick to win another Super Bowl. If you're talking you nail a draft, you get a Super Bowl winning quarterback in the draft, and you get what you need. But the problem is, Sal, oldest quarterback to have ever won a Super Bowl, just won a Super Bowl, and Bruce Arians at 68 years of age. We all know the health issues Bruce Arians has already had. I'm glad he's overcome those. But with that being said, even if he were to nail the draft, best case scenario, you're talking 71. The most talented quarterback that we've seen, at least in recent history, Patrick Mahomes, he won it in his third year. So, Sel, as I look at it, if the question is how much pressure is on him to nail it, it's not a matter of, oh, is Robert Kraft putting pressure on him? But Bill Belichick is not coaching just to continue to pad his stats. He's not coaching just to continue to win the most games over the next head coach in the history of the NFL. He's coaching to win Super Bowls. Pressure is on Bill Belichick internally to nail this draft because he understands the only way you win Super Bowls is by nailing draft picks, particularly at the quarterback position, unless you're going to try to inherit somebody in free agency, but I'll get to why that's not going to happen later.
No pressure on Bill Belichick right now. A lot of pressure on you, though. Can't believe you're going to speak out of turn and talk about how Bill Belichick must go about this draft in order to ensure success. What's your success level since you want to talk about Bill Belichick, since you want to be a jury and you want to try Bill Belichick right now? Are you with one of his peers? No. Am I one of his peers? No. Is there another coach walking and living ever? One of his peers. No. So there ain't no pressure on Bill Belichick. Let me give you something right here that I wrote down, and it's not a Wileyism, but I'm going to frame it. Pressure only exists outside your comfort zone. Or for those who are compromised in comprehension like you, Acho, pressure doesn't exist in your comfort zone. What's Bill Belichick's comfort zone? He created it his damn self. The highest of expectations. A standard that must be met. That's who Bill Belichick is. Why is there going to be pressure on the standard and expectations that not only have I set, but I have exceeded my damn self? There's no pressure on Bill Belichick to nail a draft. I don't even want to go to equity argument. We go there so often that you probably are tired of me saying that Bill Belichick, because of his equity alone, should never be in a conversation where we're slighting him. I just went there again. But your argument was a little incomplete, just like that suit. Great suit, great color. Where's the tie?
Didn't need a tie.
Finish him. Oh, okay. What, we in Miami now? We're doing the show out there? Okay, let's go. Let's go. You gave me an age argument.
Yes, sir.
Stop, man. Like, every stat that we have here is framed based off of what has happened, but not what can happen. Bill Belichick can go out there and punch through that glass ceiling in terms of age and expectation. But let's talk about this narrative that has gotten exaggerated to a place that we must correct it. I hope you agree with me here. There's an argument out there that Bill Belichick doesn't know how to draft. There's an argument out there saying, oh, he's missing, especially in his first-round picks. And then N'Keal Harry's butt comes up here, and then you're like, see, example A. But let's talk about how, if you really want to look at the last 4 Super Bowl champions, and let's go back, who just won a championship last year? Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yes, sir.
Who are they winning with? Tom Brady and Gronkowski. Oh, were those Belichick picks? Yes, they were. Oh, let's go to Kansas City. Oh, okay, you can say that. They just signed an offensive lineman from the New England Patriots. Was he a draft pick? Joe Tooney. Okay, you want the last 4 Super Bowl teams. You want to talk about Garoppolo? Like, everywhere you look, Bill Belichick not only has them on his roster, but they're sprinkled out the league. All on successful teams, Super Bowl appearing or winning teams. I got a list right here. Incomplete suit. I got a list right here of all the tremendous draft choices. But right now, I'm going to be respectful on this sprint relay and pass you the baton. But don't you dare take a shot at his draft choices, because you're going to take an L.
So that was such a unique take. I applaud you for the stretches and the reaches within that take. I applaud you for that. Smart. You must have done yoga this morning. First, let's establish this. So let's establish one thing, make something abundantly clear for y'all watching, for you and I here. You don't have to be a peer to try someone. Ask anybody in the jury. Ask anybody in the courtroom. You don't have to be a peer.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
You have to be a peer, a jury of your peers. It is stated. I watch Law and Order. I've heard it.
You ain't got to be a peer to try nobody, okay?
Well,
so I'm going to try Bill Belichick, although clearly I and no one am a peer.
Okay.
It's come very simple, and this is what I'll say.
What?
All of the Patriots Super Bowl winning teams, the nucleus of that roster has been their draft picks. Okay. Let's talk their second dynasty.
Nucleus, okay.
Dante Hightower,
yeah.
Rob Gronkowski, Patrick Chung, Devin McCourty, Julian Edelman. Those are Patriots draft picks. Let's talk about the first dynasty, even before Bill Belichick, players that were drafted there. Willie McGinnis, Eddie Bruschi. I mean, you talking about some dog.
Exactly.
My
dogs.
Yo dogs
yes.
and some
and dogs. Yes.
If the Patriots win Super Bowls, and all Super Bowl winning teams, the nucleus of that team is their draft picks outside of this past year with the Bucks. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Eagles, Nick Foles, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. The nucleus of the team is draft picks. So does Bill Belichick have to nail the draft? Absolutely, because can he pick up some additives in free agency? Sure. Rex Burkhead, Chris Long, even Stephon Gilmore, a high-level additive. But regardless, all of Bill Belichick's Super Bowl winning teams and Super Bowl teams, their nucleus is draft picks. So unless you think that Bill Belichick is somehow going to orchestrate bringing back men who left him willingly, Rob Gronkowski willingly left Bill Belichick, Tom Brady willingly left Bill Belichick, unless you think that he's going to bring back an assortment of men like the Tampa Bay Bucks did and Bruce Arians, then he has to do it in the draft. So this question isn't even really up for debate. It's just how much pressure. Not is there pressure, it's how much pressure, because there's clearly pressure, because there always has been based on his success in the draft leading the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm going to pick apart that argument, just like I'm going to pick apart how you're trying to take us back to, what is it, biology, chemistry, physics, I don't know. All this nucleus talk. You're going to next say cytoplasm up in this sucker? I got an A+ in that. Here's the thing. That's not the only part of the construction of a team, your draft choices, right? A means to an end is, one, the draft. Another one is free agency, correct? Oh, let's talk about team construction when you talk about even those who were free agents or undrafted. Malcolm Butler, Randall Gay come to mind. Did they ball out for the Patriots? Absolutely. Undrafted. Let's talk about free agency. My guy, my dog, Rodney Harrison. Wasn't a draft choice. Helped win. Roosevelt Colvin. Sayal, rest in peace, respect to the great. Amendola, Darrell Reeves, whatever you want to call him, Reeves.
You can find
Stephon Gilmore.
names.
Hold on. No, hold on. You can find names in the draft, too. I got a list as well. But the point is, it's a means to an end, and it's only one way. Acho, when you go flying, it's quarantine right now. Pandemic. I hope you're not flying anywhere, but I know you are, so I just said that to kind of dry snitch on you. Wet snitch, really. Point is, when you go on the airplane and you're sitting there and you probably coach seat, 38F, you know, right by the bathroom, can't even lean back. That's Acho right there. And then you got that little placard in front of you, you know, the little cartoon of like emergency exits and all that. And then, you know, the flight attendants come by and, you know, you need anything, they don't ask you because you're in the bad seats, right? And then I'm over there warm peanuts, killing it. And then they said, boom. And now they shut off all the electronics. You got to pay attention. You're like, damn, I've been on 1,000 flights. Why I got to know what you about to say right now? And guess what they always point out? Where the exits are. How to get out of here in case something happens. But I want to flip that on his head also. You got to know how to get on and how to get out. Bill Belichick, draft is one way. There's another way, brother. It's free agency. There's another way. Just undrafted. There's another way. Because you Bill Belichick, people want to come to you because they know.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Oh, really?
That's a lie.
Oh, really? Who you going to go, Matthew Stafford? That's all you going to give me? No playoff winning Matthew Stafford? Yeah,
Sir,
you know why you don't want to come here?
Hall of Famers leave Bill Belichick.
And they come.
The greatest
Do
players
you want,
of
and
all
they come,
time
and they come.
at their position leave Bill Belichick.
And they come. Look, every coach has had great drafts and bad drafts. The only ones who haven't are the ones who have never drafted. So hold on, you're going to give me a hit and miss chart and then try to compare it to Bill Belichick, who's the greatest with results to any other coach
Here's what I'm going to give you. It's not a coincidence that the New England Patriots had the most opt-outs last year, unless you just believe in sheer coincidence. Out of the 32 teams in the NFL, it just happened to be the team with the coach who is notorious for being extremely hard on his players. Rob Gronkowski is a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe the greatest top 5 at his position in the history when you look at his accolades and when you look at his accomplishments. And he chose to retire. He chose to come here instead of playing for Belichick.
He had 9 surgeries in 8 days.
Then go win a Super Bowl or try to win one with Bill Belichick.
Because he was burnt out. He was in decline.
Who burnt him out?
His body.
Who burnt him out?
His body.
No, sir. His coach.
He took a red shirt year as a pro, which everybody should if you're injury prone.
And when he went back, why didn't he go back to Belichick, sir?
Because. Would you? Tom Brady wasn't there.
Exactly, I would.
Was Tom Brady there?
Why didn't Tom Brady go to Belichick either,
Because Tom Brady tried. He begged to stay. And Belichick looked around and said, dog, we ain't got that much money and we ain't got that much talent. What you gonna do, Tom Brady?
Great.
Brady dipped.
Why didn't they have talent?
They're all
Why didn't they have talent? Because of Bill Belichick.
Oh, don't you do that.
The GM dictates talent. The GM dictates money. So if they didn't have talent nor money because of Bill Belichick,
didn't they go to 3 Super Bowls, win 2 since Tom Brady has turned 40? Yes.
Yes. Because
what the hell
when he nailed the draft, 2012.
So how is that not nailing the draft?
Sir,
it materializes into success.
The last time he nailed the draft was when I came out into the NFL.
What year was that?
2012.
You're alive.
Hightower was
Jamie Collins is not a draft.
2013 was his last Pro Bowler, Jamie Collins.
Jimmy G.
2013.
Jimmy G. Jimmy G.
Jimmy G's getting replaced on another team that's not even as good as the team he was on.
Have you been in the Super Bowl? Me either. Jimmy G looking down at you like, shut up. How you gonna go there on Jimmy G?
He got as a starter. How many he got as a starter?
How many years?
How many he got as a starting quarterback? How many rings? Same as me and you as a starting quarterback. Jimmy G does. He better than both of us.
He better than both of us added up.
He's richer.
No, he's better too. Don't do that.
He's better than you. Has he been a top 100 player?
I'm loving this.
Has he been a top 100 player?
I done turned this to where you gonna have to give me props. Because I am better than Jimmy G. But you ain't. I ain't gonna talk to you right now. You got me derailed right now. All I want to say is, how come there is a narrative to pull at Bill Belichick when nobody's even close enough to throw the rope on his ankles? I don't know a coach. I don't know an analyst. I don't know a player. I don't know anyone. What are you trying to accomplish by doing this?
Because in life, Sale, just because you've been a good person does not mean you're immune to a bad action. Just because Bill Belichick has been a great coach does not mean he is immune to currently struggling as a general manager and in potentially currently struggling to relift his team. So, let's just call a spade a spade.
He's on his second quarterback. It takes 4 years.
Let's flip the question on its head. The question, how much pressure is on Bill Belichick to nail this draft? What happens if he doesn't? Let's answer that.
Okay.
Because we sit here, you and I want to get into the semantics of what happens if he does. But what happens if he doesn't? He's a 69-year-old head coach with a question mark at quarterback. Cam Newton might be great. He might not. I'm not going to get into that because he might be great. I'll give it to you. Cam Newton could ball, but he could also not ball. So he's a 69-year-old head coach with a question mark at quarterback. His centerpiece is a linebacker, came into the draft the same year I did. I'm 30 and I'm young for my grade. So my dog Dante Hightower got to be pushing 31 right now and didn't play last year. Patrick Chung is centerpiece of safety, retired. McCourty, old. If he doesn't nail the draft, he's just going to be coaching for no reason. I saw a tweet one time. I felt bad because Vince Carter is one of the greatest basketball players as far as legacy.
Don't do this.
But it said, Vince Carter played for 20-plus years in the league and didn't win no rings. So basically, he was just out there running and jumping. I said, oh, God.
That's wrong.
If Bill Belichick, sir, is out here just coaching at this point with no actual opportunity to win a ring, then he's just out here yelling and blowing a whistle. That's it. Blow a whistle. He's just out here yelling and blowing a whistle.
Too short and too old. I'm not listening to that.
So how much pressure is on him to nail it? Because what happens if he doesn't, Sal? Come on, big guy.
Come on, man. I can't believe you're a victim of what you're trying to now put on Bill Belichick. Ageism. When they told me I was going to work with Acho, I was like, how old is he? Okay. And everybody's like, you gonna work with him and he ain't even 30? And look at you now. They were right, actually. It's not about you. Point is, put some respect on his name. This is Bill Belichick. He ain't gonna say it no more. If you don't put some respect on his name, trust me, his results will make you. Coming up, Steph Curry, shot boy, has been lights out for the Warriors, but is his greatness underappreciated? But first, Patrick Mahomes says defeat helps him more than success. Interesting. We'll tell you if we agree. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Man, too short.
Patrick Mahomes has seen both sides of the Super Bowl. His Chiefs raised the Lombardi Trophy 2 seasons ago, but KC lost to Tom Brady's Bucs last season. Despite the big loss, Mahomes sees a bright side, telling CNBC, quote, "I think defeat helps you more than success. I just do whatever I can to be better and learn from the mistakes." So, Marcellus, do you agree with the former Super Bowl MVP, Patrick Mahomes, that defeat helps more than success?
No, I don't agree with him. I want to start off and preface this by saying, do what you want to do, okay? But I do subscribe to a more efficient, optimal way. Now, I'm not as disciplined as I should be, and I don't think anybody is as disciplined as they should be to the optimal way of living. We know what we're doing in reality, and we know what we're wanting to do in our ideals. There is a gap for me, and it sounds like there's a greater gap for Patrick Mahomes in my mind. Let's just say this. The most efficient, the most optimal model of behavior is to learn from your pattern of successes more so than your failures. Say it again, your pattern of successes more so than your failures. Why? Because when you try to learn from your failures, all you're doing is looking at something bad that happened and it's jarring and it makes you reevaluate, correct? But when you win and you're trying to build off of your successes, you're using that positive momentum and it's more encouraging. And also, guess what it is? It's easier to snowball. That's why the rich get richer. That's why success begets success. Have you ever been in the zone when you're playing in the game? The mindless behavior they're talking about, right? You know what gets you into the zone? Success. Failure doesn't get you into the zone. Failure gets the doubt birds flying over your head, maybe dropping a number 2 on you because you're sitting there thinking, oh, here we go again. But to get into the zone, you got to build on the successes to the point where it's mindless. You don't even think about it. It's beyond instinct. It's just you. So when I hear someone saying, I'm going to now correct or overcorrect from a negative to a positive, I'm saying, are you taking for granted all of the successes and the positives that you already have in tow? Let me get to this point before I pass you the baton. He told on himself. Now, I'm not even going to use me and say I'm got a different mindset or a better mindset than Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to prove to you that Patrick Mahomes is not even evaluating himself properly. In this article that he talks about, you know what, defeat helps you more than success, he also talks about his mindset during a game. And he says this, all you can focus in on is having a successful play of that same play. And then once that play is over, no matter if it was good or bad, you have to do it again. Why not focus on the bad plays, Patrick Mahomes, since you said you learn more from defeat and bad than you do from good? He told on himself right here. You don't focus on what messed up in your life, that one little thing, that snag in your world, and then say, once I fix this, everything else will be great. No, you go out there and you emphasize all of the good qualities till they turn into great qualities. That's the best way to have a snowball for success. I heard him. Oh, yes.
Bravo. Here is how y'all know this ain't one of those just scripted, y'all got to argue for argument's sake type of shows. Because the cell is talking, my opinion changed.
Oh, wow.
Now, part of my opinion changed, not in totality, but a part. I'll get to that.
Respect.
So as you're talking, I'm realizing that there's a difference between intra and inter and how that relates to this conversation.
Let's go.
Intra means within.
Yes.
Inter means between. Intra-competition, I actually rock with you now, that success should help you more than defeat.
Yes.
Intra, within competition.
Within.
During the course of a game, I'd rather make a good play because that'll help me make another good play as opposed to making a bad play. Making a good play is going to beget another good play as opposed to a bad play. However, inter-competition, between competition, I think defeat helps you more than success. Okay. This ain't just for sports, y'all. This for life, too. Y'all learn a lesson if we can teach you one. Inter-competition. If you win a game, your first response is, I've won several games, you've won several games at several levels. Your first response is joy and jubilee. Yes, I won the game.
You feel it, too. Yep.
When you lose a game, your first response is typically, I want that again. Right? Like, I want to get that taste out of my mouth. I want that again. Or I'm going back to work.
Yes.
Well, it's one or two responses.
Yeah.
Let me at him again, or I'm going back to work. So what that tells me is intercompetition, between competition. After you play the Cowboys, before you play the Giants, you lose to the Cowboys. Man, I want to play them again. Or y'all don't know this, but if you play in a league, after the game, quickly the game comes onto your iPad and you can rewatch the film. Big dog. When I lost games, before I even buckle up my seatbelt on the plane, I'm talking to our film guy, hey, download the game on my iPad, and I'm already looking at what went wrong.
Yes.
When he win games, hey, what we got at the post-game meal? Hey, Rook, let me get that real quick. Da-da-da, you laugh and you kick back, headphones on, you think you the hottest thing in the world.
Facts.
The first response when you win is jubilee. The first response when you lose is going back to work, which already means you have a head start on the person who won. Inter-competition. Because, Sel, if you win and your first response is, yay, I won, and you beat me, and my first response is, I got to get back to work, that means I got an advantage on you. Now, is that advantage going to trump you if you're that much better than me? Maybe not. Now, how great an advantage is that? I actually don't know, but I do know this. If I lose and I'm going back to work and you win and you're celebrating, the longer I'm at work while you're celebrating, I do have an advantage. So I feel Patrick Mahomes, because if I can bring this to a head in one final conclusive thought, the Chiefs were a better team this year statistically than they were last year.
Yes.
They had more yards per game and they gave up fewer yards per game by rankings in the NFL.
And more wins.
The Chiefs were, and more wins, 14-2. So the Chiefs were a better team this year than they were last year. But what in the world happened? Y'all remember also, the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers in the regular season. They defeated them. The Buccaneers were defeated. When they played each other again, the Buccaneers won. At least in that small incubated micro experiment, defeat helped the Buccaneers more than success helped the Chiefs.
I can't say any of that was wrong. It's just different.
That's fair.
And maybe that's why I'm
fair.
respecting Patrick Mahomes for just being different. And I hate when people want to marry the success level of you, I, or Patrick Mahomes to which one is the best or optimal way. Because there's a subscription to the best way, and then we're all falling short of that. Being real. There are some players that when we win, they go right to work. Kobe Bryant comes to mind in conversation and talking to him before, rest in peace. Bruce Smith comes to mind and experience. Like, Bruce used to be sneaky. We'll win a game, go out there, everybody going party. And after the club, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, I'm going home crashing. Bruce went to the facilities and got his work in, studied the opponents and all that. So when we came back, we looking at Bruce like, is he really paying attention? Because he's just like, I already seen this. And it was a different experience. So the discipline may be a different conversation than just what's the mental subscription. But let me tell you this. When you have a negative happen to you in your life, it's a wake-up call, right? Like, were you sleeping? Like, what's wrong with you? Wake up. But I remind you, when you go to a hotel and you say, yeah, I need a wake-up call tomorrow morning. Yeah, 6:30. Should be up already. 6:30, right? Or you get your iPhone, 6:30, right? That's not the best alarm clock for you. That's failure trying to tell you, hey, you're not ready for this. Wake up. Hello, Marcellus, wake up. Bring, wake up. You know what the best alarm clock is? Your body clock. It's already in you, big dog. And that's how I am now. But all these damn kids won't let me sleep. I can't sleep past 6 o'clock in the morning because I'm on a body clock. But I'm winning, bruh. And I know it's an inner discipline that comes and it snowballs into winning. So I understand every coach has said, work on your left-hand layups. But he is not saying for the rest of the practice, ignore the right-hand layups that you have already conquered. You still got to build on your greatness to become even greater.
That's fair. I think, though, don't you believe we have a propensity when we are living life, balling, doing whatever the case may be, that if you're succeeding, you're not paying as much attention to what you could be improving on in general. Let's talk relationally. Let's talk relationally, Sel. If everything Gucci between you and your spouse, you and your significant other, you and whatever the case may be, you're not thinking like, man, how could I have been better today? How could I have served better? How could I have loved better? How could I have been more humble? How could I have? Because there ain't no complaints. You good. She's good. It's all good. But if all of a sudden y'all get into a rift, have a stern talking to, break up, time apart, whatever the case may be, then now you got to go back to the drawing board and, what could I have done better here? What could I have done better there? I should have been sorry. I should have been quicker to do this. I should have been quicker to do that. Because when everything is going right, like it had been for the Chiefs and had been for Patrick Mahomes and is in relationships, we just have a natural tendency to be like, yeah, let me just keep keep doing what I'm doing. But when you keep doing what you're doing, what if you're missing some of the flaws of what you're doing? Whereas in defeat, the flaws of what you're doing are perfectly exposed because now the flaws have cost you. And you know we respond to pain. I ain't got none of these in my notes. We just rap.
I know.
Like we respond to pain, Sel. We don't necessarily respond to our greatest lessons in life really be the ones that hurt us.
Okay.
Put your hand on a hot stove. You're going to learn not to put your hand on a hot stove again. Even if you put your hand on a stove and it don't burn you, you still shouldn't put your hand on the stove. But put your hand on the stove and it burns you, boom, the lesson has been learned. Put your hand on the stove, it don't burn you, okay, I'll just keep putting my hand on. But the second you get burned by it, now the lesson has been learned. The Chiefs, they have learned a lesson now going to the Super Bowl and sleepwalking around because they got burned by it. Chiefs didn't play perfect against the 49ers. You bring that up every other week.
Yeah.
Chiefs was losing in that game, trailing in that game through 2.5 quarters, but they didn't get burned by it.
Ooh.
Now I believe they've learned a lesson because when you get defeated, sometimes at least you'll be learning lessons.
Good Lord. What show is this again? Dr. Acho over there. You just told on yourself, though. That's why you're single.
And look, every day it's a different reason for my singleness. I need you to start categorizing all the reasons for my singleness.
Dog, it makes sense. I was 30 before. And God, when you're 30 and you're in relationships or dating or single, whatever it may be, you have these arguments, you have these disruptions, and you're always thinking, I'm going to work through these problems, right? That's what you're doing. You have a disagreement with somebody you're really interested in. You're like, we're going to work through these problems. Let me tell you the difference when you become married and you start to realize how to work this relationship more efficiently. Because you talked about the hot stove, or you talk about in a relationship, we got into a riff, we got into an argument. When you're married, you work on your successes. That means I already know what works well for us. Let me stay in that place mentally and let me harp on that physically. My wife loves to hear good compliments about her. I don't care what, even if they're not even genuine. Like, I'm like, baby, you are so little. She ain't little. My wife is like 5'9", 160. Yeah, I told baby. She ain't no little lady. But I'm like, baby, you look so little. She's like, me? Oh, thank you. Like, ding, ding. Because you know what? I'm working on my successes. I don't wait till her start to feel down and look at some magazine or Instagram and start to look a little different at herself. And then I try to work through and pick her back up. Because recognition is what we're talking about. I don't think Patrick Mahomes recognizes what he's really saying and what really is at play all the time. In your subconscious, you store your wins. Like deep down, because that's why it's like second nature. We call it a lot of different things, but it's deep down and you're always working on it. But what comes to the conscious mind is the losses, is the L's, is the snags, is the riffs, is all the tension. And so you're addressing that to do what ultimately? Put it down there with the rest of the wins. So I look at a situation like this is really simple, man. We're having a discipline conversation. We're having a recognition conversation. And unfortunately, a lot of us are not disciplined enough to recognize that we're not doing it the most optimal way. That was a good relationship conversation. Coming up, several teams are opting out of in-person voluntary workouts this spring. We'll tell you if it's a smart move by the players, and that's next. Speak for yourself. Is that another thing I got to the NFL, where the Steelers are the latest of several teams that are opting out of in-person voluntary workouts this spring, and more expected to follow. Threat of COVID and the players' protection are some of the reasons for the decisions. NFL Players Association has been advising players to boycott, opting to work virtually instead like they did last year. Got to bring in another Acho, because one's not good enough. For this one, former linebacker and Players Union rep Sam Acho joins us. But to this Acho, my dog, is this a smart move by the players?
Fellas, I don't think it is. And I'm all for players' empowerment. I am. Obviously, I was a former player. But sometimes you got to remember, like, just because you want to do it doesn't mean it's in your best interest. Y'all remember back in middle school, and y'all would read the tickers depending on where you grew up, and you would see a snow day might cancel class, or somebody might pull a fire alarm and class is canceled. You might hope there's ice on the roads for a week and you don't got to go to school. Yeah, that's what you wanted to do. But it wasn't necessarily the best thing for you as a student, for your growth, nor for your development. Yes, we are still in the middle, yet hopefully on the outside end of COVID and this pandemic. But nonetheless, I would think the players are probably better off in an organization, a billion-dollar organization, where they're being tested more frequently as opposed to their homes. I would assume in off-season workouts, you're working out at least 1 hour a day in the weight room 4 days a week. The majority of players probably not working out 4 days a week right now for 1 hour a day minimum, not to count the on the field that you do during the NFL OTAs, not to count the in-room with the playbook. So I understand the player empowerment. I'm proud of the players for banding together, but I don't necessarily know that it is smart.
Well, I would disagree with that, Emmanuel. I think it is smart just based on statistics. So if you look at player longevity, last year there was a 23% reduction in missed time injuries with a virtual offseason. So there's this thought process that we need the offseason. Players need the offseason. They need to be in April and in May and in June. And we actually saw, statistically speaking, that it was better for players physically, number one, to not have that in-person offseason. Virtually, they got everything done in the film room, but also mentally and emotionally. We're in the middle of a pandemic, so you've got COVID going on. To be able to see your family, to be able to work out on your own, at your own leisure. Yes, I get it. You don't think a lot of players may work out more than an hour a day, but I know a bunch of guys who are grinding in the offseason. They're trying to shine in the offseason. They're in the lab in the offseason. They're trying to get right. And I would say that this new offseason that the players are fighting for is good for those players who are trying to get right.
Now, Sam, no, help me make sense of this, bro, because I feel like if you're a fan, at least if you mean now an analyst, I'm not fully player anymore and really not partially, players always fighting for something. Right, you said the players are fighting now to not have to go to voluntary workouts, but there was just a collective bargaining agreement in which there were several arguments, there were disputes between owners and the players had the rights to say, we no longer want these voluntary workouts as part of the collective bargaining agreement. So if the players conceded and said, you know what, y'all can keep the voluntary workouts, why now are they essentially banding together to go on strike against the voluntary workouts?
Well, the reason why is that this was the last point of contention when it came to negotiations. So players, owners negotiating. If you all remember last year during the negotiations, at the very last minute, Aaron Rodgers, A-Rod, the MVP, the GOAT, he flew into Florida for the meetings to come and meet with the owners. And the last conversation was this: if we're going to 17 games, we need no offseason. No offseason. And so when the conversation came, the owners really wanted the offseason. They believe in, and even coaches and strength staff and GMs, they want to see who they have. But the players said, we're adding an extra game. This is pre-COVID. No one knew about COVID. Players said, we're adding an extra game. We need some time off. And so the last conversation as it stood was, how about this? Let's follow the science. Players and owners virtually agreed to follow the science. And then all of a sudden, a month later, boom, COVID, global pandemic. Players, fans, no one's allowed to go out in public and be within 3 feet. So we had to have a virtual offseason. And all of a sudden, the science says, even though we agreed, because I hear your point, you agreed, just deal with what you agreed with. But the science says that it's better not to be in person. And so my perspective and a bunch of players, almost all of the players so far, we've had 11 out of 33 teams say we're not coming. The majority of the players are saying, hey, let's follow the science.
Interesting right there. I'm with you, Sam. Not only do I always follow the science, facts over feelings, it has to be evidence-based. I don't want to hear it. I'm really going to tune you out. I'm walking out the barbershop. I'm not trying to hear all your rhetoric if it doesn't have a logic based in facts. That said, there's a statement, a cliche that always goes around, know your history, and people always say, why? So you don't repeat it. Well, I'm going to give you an example of why you should know your history, because you should repeat it. When I first got drafted in the NFL in 1997, let me tell y'all what we had in the offseason as workouts. Nothing. Hey, this is Marv Levy. Congratulations, you're a Buffalo Bill. We have 1 weekend of workouts, a mini camp. We're not even going to call it camp, mini camp. And see you in August. And that was it. That was 97, y'all. 98, you get that call again. It's like, hey, Marcellus, that was a good year. Not that good, but, you need to work on a few things, blah, blah, blah. We're thinking of having some other workouts, but we'll let you know. 99 comes all of a sudden, you start hearing these acronyms, OTAs and stuff. Hey, man, what you talking about? Is this still the same game of football? And yeah, but OTAs, we want you there. And I'm like, is the O optional? And they're like, no, it's organized. I'm like, that's a stupid letter to choose then. So anyway, you fast forward to today, well, I should say last year, before COVID hits, they are doing too much in terms of working these guys out. The science supports it. I'm glad COVID highlighted it. But more so than that, we are going to talk about the work-rest relationship. Think about it. We're all athletes, former athletes, whatever you want to call Sam, I don't know. We work out. And, you know, someone who's not an athlete always thinks grind, 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 grind. But when you're an athlete, you realize work, work, rest, rest, work, work, rest, rest. You got to have that balance. You got to have that relationship. So I don't love the reason why COVID obviously happening, but I'm glad there's going to be a pause in terms of the excessive load we're putting on these athletes throughout the offseason, and then a strenuous more game in season. So to me, I'm with you, Sam.
But here's a question, fellas, and y'all two are the renowned gentlemen up here with children, and so let's speak in a language in which you all can understand. Again, I have none of my own, but I read books about the benefits of how to properly educate them. And if you do read the books about the benefits, what you learn is this.
What?
Children actually make the biggest advantages over other kids during summer school. So it's not actually during the year of school that everybody is a part of where children make the leaps and bounds mentally, emotionally, psychologically over other kids. Children gain their advantage over other children educationally during summer school, that time off, if you will, that rest period you're speaking of, Marcellus. So if we know that's a direct correlation at a young age, psychologically, emotionally, mentally, then don't you also think, at least from the mental portion of the game, because during OTAs, that's when you learn the plays, don't you think that same advantage can be accrued by the players? I understand players not wanting to go to OTAs. I never wanted to go to OTAs. If you got a new head coach, you got to go 2 weeks early. Your off season starts about February, and now you got to go back in early April. You might have a month and a half to 2 months off at the most. But I think it's actually in the better interest of the players. Yes, we can look at a one-year sample size, Sam, I get that. But we all know that a one-year sample size is not a great enough sample size to make a decision.
Well, I'll just put it this way. I think this will put a nail on the hammer, seal it all. It's voluntary. So all that we've negotiated, all that's been talked about this year, last year, even when Sel was hearing about this OTAs, these different acronyms, these different letters, they were always voluntary. The issue was players never volunteered to not show up. So it's one of those things where I remember in college, we played football, student athletes, right, University of Texas. The coaches would always look at us. We were student athletes. They would say, hey, you are a student first and an athlete second. So pretty much saying you better come up and show up and win these games. That was what they were saying. And so even with these voluntary activities, yes, they're voluntary, but you better show up. And the difference now, at least what I've seen and what's really impressed me with 2,000 players, they're all uniting together and saying, you know what? This is voluntary. And so if we're following the science, yes, I understand summer school, but I feel like I can get right and study at home and do at-home learning. If we're doing it that way, then how about we all volunteer together to not show up? We're not boycotting anything. It was just voluntary, and I just volunteered to not be there.
Preach that voluntary mandatory. They put that pressure on you. Oh, yeah, show up if you want to. Oh, you ain't showing up? And you're like, damn, dog, I thought you said show up if I want to. I used to hate that. Man, I ain't trying to work out with nobody. I don't need no babysitters. Just like how I produce and prep for the show. Acho know, man, I ain't spending an extra second doing nothing for nobody so they can say, Marcellus is really invested. He is really showing good work habits. That's all it is. Let me tell you how it really went down. Okay, so the owner is flying around on his private jet everywhere because he got 900 businesses. And guess what his hobby business is? Owning an NFL team, like on the side. Like, oh, I like that business. And there's only one winner, right? So 31 losers. And then all of a sudden, the owner lands one time, damn, we lost another year. Damn, we lost another year. And then the head coach and everybody sitting around like, we got to show that we're really working even though we're not achieving. So you know what they start doing? They start coming up with these damn programs that are voluntary because they know they can't pass them legally. But they're like, you better be here because I got to check the box to my boss that we're invested. Oh, I saw through that scam. I was like, nah, B, I ain't coming if I don't have to be there. Then I finally got cut. But anyway, the point is, Acho is tripping. This is not a necessary evil.
Not me.
Oh, well, both of y'all tripping. I'm gonna get to you, Sam, later. But Emmanuel's over here talking about, well, you know, it's a necessary evil. Like you really don't want to do it, but it's better for you. Dog, how many tackling drills can you do? Especially in April. When I play, Jerome Bettis gonna come. Don't give me a form tackling drill to tackle him. Just say, hey, is it him or you? Okay, I'm gonna try. That's all I need to do. I don't need to be there in April to figure this out.
Real.
Now, Sam, I've learned from the Acho family that y'all don't have a great balance in y'all life. It seems like there's a lot of stress on work right now. I'm looking at you right now, and if I could get you in a wide frame, I see 2 game balls, but I see 3 books. Yeah, to balance your damn self. Y'all need to work on y'all relationships in this family. I don't know what's going on. Coming up, Steph Curry is on an absolute tear. I don't know why I caught that. But we'll tell you if his greatness is underappreciated. And that's next. Don't speak for yourself. Get another game ball, dog. Let's head to the NBA. Steph Curry on the shot. Why? Was busy doing Steph Curry type things last night in the Warriors win over the Cavs. Even made Matthew Dellavedova fall down for one of his 3-pointers. Got him. Steph already passed Wilt Chamberlain earlier this week to become the Warriors' all-time leading scorer. Now he scored over 30 points again. Check out the tear that Steph has been on in these last 9 games. Good Lord. Scored over 30 points in each game, and he's averaging just over 47% in 3-point shooting. So, Acho, is Steph Curry's greatness underappreciated?
So, I've never been more excited for a basketball topic a day in my life.
Like that?
Yeah, I like that. So, because Steph Curry's greatness is drastically underappreciated. I don't care about stats, and honestly, I don't need none of these notes. The greatest thing Steph Curry has ever done is not be a unanimous MVP. It's not be a back-to-back MVP. It is willingly and selflessly taking a back seat so that Kevin Durant could shine.
Oh.
The greatest thing Steph Curry has ever done, he actually gets criticized for. Steph Curry, he's never been a finals MVP. He's never been the best player on his team during a finals run. That is what Steph gets criticized for, but he willingly did it. Steph Curry's greatness, I put Steph Curry, at least in the last decade, right behind LeBron as far as greatest players in the NBA. The problem we have, fix your face or I'll fix it for you.
You did say greatest.
Greatest.
Excuse me. Okay.
Greatest.
Finish.
The problem we have when we hear the word greatest, all we think about is who scores the most points. That's literally all we think about.
That's a lot of it.
Maybe basketball actually doesn't even have it the most correct of all the sports. Because when you talk about hockey, who scores the most points, it's not just about goals scored. It's about goals scored plus goals assisted on. So in basketball, when we talk about who scores or contributes to the most points, why do we only selfishly think about who has the most goals scored as opposed to who has the most points contributed to? Because as I look at it, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant played together for 3 years. Steph Curry actually scored more points, if you want to talk about points scored and assisted on, than Kevin Durant in 2 out of the 3 years and cumulatively. Now, I'm not going to make this a Steph Curry versus Kevin Durant conversation.
Please don't.
But what I am going to do is say this. The greatest thing Steph Curry did was take a back seat, because the greatest thing each and every athlete possesses is not their height. It's not their weight. It's not their strength. It's not their agility. It is their ego. The greatest thing each athlete possesses is their ego. That's what makes them great. Their confidence beyond reason, because they have confidence in their ability. So Steph Curry took his greatest asset and his greatest attribute. Mind you, his should be greater than everybody else's, because he's the only player in NBA history to have a unanimous MVP. He took his greatest attribute and asset and said, you know what? I'm going to let that subside for the betterment of the team. And he don't even get respect for that. He gets criticized for that. So was Steph Curry drastically underappreciated? Absolutely.
Golly. All the juice in that one, boy.
I got more.
You got more?
Yes.
Well, you keep talking. I ain't got nothing as good as that. This show ain't going to be the same. But I love the point that you brought up in terms of the pursuit of perfection, that seeking of perfection, man. It takes psychosis, man. And let me answer this question first, because you got more, I got more on that one as well. Yes, he's greatly underappreciated. It's sad, too. But I understand why. I certainly see why. We have more respect for those that pop, that we see coming. Oh, here comes a train. And yes, that's what we call a pop star versus those who have the slow build to their grind. Steph Curry's ankles robbed him of us appreciating him fully, and also his road to becoming Steph Curry in the first place. How many of you guys know where Steph Curry went to high school? Anybody? Charlotte Christian? Yeah. How many of y'all know where LeBron went? Everybody. How many times you saw LeBron in high school? I did. Zion. Did you see Zion coming? Yeah. High school games, college games, everything. The point is, you look at a slow builder like Steph Curry, James Harden comes to mind as well, because in the NBA he was a 6th man at first and it took a slow build. We don't appreciate James Harden as much. You know what comes when we don't appreciate him? Shade, skeptical, doubtful, underappreciation. This is what's happening right now. People don't believe their lying eyes. People see how great he is and still want to doubt what they're seeing because we didn't see it coming like that. Something has to be up. Something has to be wrong. This can't be forever. And even if it is, all of a sudden we start to say, oh, but it's still not that good. And I'll go to your Kevin Durant example. You don't want to compare them to each other? Me either. But you gave a little too much of a Hallmark card to him in that moment.
How?
Dwayne Wade did the same thing to LeBron. You know why? Because we're athletes. We have an ego. Game recognized game. You don't believe me? Go to the LA Zoo. You will just see in nature, hey, we know who the alpha male is. As soon as Steph Curry is out there dribbling, what's up, KD? Welcome to the first practice. Here you go. And that's what that turned into quickly.
Phil,
I don't want to debate those
we
two,
have to.
but it was game, recognized game. Did Dwayne Wade recognize game with LeBron too? Don't do that.
Here's what I think it is. Because here's the other thing. When we talk about greatness, and this is the next layer which y'all have to understand.
What?
I know the barbershop conversations don't do this because the barbershop conversations, you don't get to the depths of the truth.
Now we're yelling.
You just stay at the surface. We just be yelling.
We just yelling.
But the depths of the truth is really this, bruh. When you talk about greatness, it's also about galvanizing success. It's not just about can you score points, can you get stops, but it's also about can you do what you need to do to make sure the team wins. That's why when I think about greatest players turn of the century, I'd probably say LeBron James, then I'd probably say Steph Curry, then I'd probably say Tim Duncan. Yeah, you can talk about incredible phenoms like the late, great Kobe Bryant, top 10 basketball player of all time. But when you talk about great as far as galvanizing success, that's where we sleep on Steph. KD had beef with Russ Westbrook. They probably would have won a title together. He leaves. KD got beef with Draymond. He leaves. Steph has been just as great as far as winning individually as KD. Unanimous MVP. Back-to-back MVP. Who Steph didn't have beef with, sir? I don't know. You could argue, oh, KD and his beef with Russ. Maybe it was Russ's fault. But then KD had beef with Draymond. Maybe it was Draymond's fault. Or maybe it wasn't. The fact of the matter is, when you talk about greatness, y'all, it's not just about putting the ball in the basket. It's helping that man put the ball in the basket. It's helping that man putting the ball in the basket. And when you got to put the ball in the basket, it's putting the ball in the basket. So for me, Steph Curry's greatness, even if you appreciate it, you don't appreciate it enough. But let's bring in NBA analyst Slick Rick the Bucher to see where he lands. So, Slick, is Steph Curry's greatness underappreciated?
Oh, let's go. We going somewhere else? Yes, get him. You should have said something about Durant.
I'm ready, Slick.
Acho, you were so close. There were so many truths to what you said.
What happened?
No, he has not been underappreciated. His greatness has been misunderstood. And that's where you were on the right track.
Talk to me, Slick.
What has made him great is his humility. What has made him great is his leadership. But he has not been great in the classic sense. The reason I tore up my notes is because you gave me everything I need to make my point. Could we bring back the Steph KD comparison screen? Can we get that back up there? Because I don't want to look at the numbers. Go to the right side of the screen. Look at the size. You said physicality doesn't matter.
I know you did.
Physicality does matter. Steph Curry is amazing and is great because it's 6'3", 185 pounds, and even now at age 33, it is amazing how he's able to score the basketball. But make no mistake, he can't dominate the game the way that LeBron or Kevin or Kawhi or Jordan or Kareem can dominate the game. He is great offensively. It's amazing what he's been able to get out of what he has done.
You ain't right.
But the reason that he handed it over to KD was not out of just generosity.
Yes.
It was out of, you know what, I want to win. And that guy, if he's getting the ball, is going to help me win. And I would look, Acho, you're going crazy right now. You made the case about Russell Wilson. What did he have to do? And what did he have to prove? That he would be willing to sublimate his ego in order to win. It wasn't by choice, it was by need, because the only time he won was when he sublimated his ego. That's exactly what Steph Curry did. He sublimated his ego in order to add 2 more championships.
Slick.
Yes, E. What is it? What do you have for me?
Slick, you just told me that Steph Curry can't dominate a game like LeBron. You told me Steph Curry can't dominate a game like KD.
Correct.
Slick, I'm going to read you.
Yes.
Steph Curry's last several games, 32 points, 36 points, 37 points.
Wait. But as you do that, as you do that,
41 points, 32 points, 38 points.
Just add who they played.
Thank you.
Add who they played. Add who they played.
My Lord.
Who did they play?
Slick, you can only play the opponent that is in front of you, Slick Rick. I'm not going to count everything with who they played. But before I get to that,
if you're Steph Curry,
before I get to that,
if you're Steph Curry, if you're Steph Curry, you can only beat the teams that are sub 500 teams.
Slick.
Look at their record right now.
Oh, my God.
They're 11 and 22
Here's the issue,
against
Slick.
the best team.
Here's the issue, Slick. I'm not going to talk about how the Nets have a better record without Kevin Durant. I'm not going to talk about that. Here's what I'm going to talk about right now, Slick. You said that the greatest thing Steph Curry should be praised for is his humility. I don't disagree with you. The problem is this, Slick. We don't love humility. You got to be loud. You got to be bravado. You got to be arrogant to be praised. Think about it, Slick. We debating Julian Edelman if he should be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if you're a football guy. I don't care. You're a cognizant individual who knows sports. Julian Edelman wouldn't even be in the debate if he didn't have bravado, if he didn't have arrogance, if he didn't have an ego. The greatest receiver in the last 2 decades is Larry Fitzgerald. But we don't even talk about Fitz much because he's quiet. He scored a touchdown. He handed the ball to the ref. He keep it pushing. If Steph Curry was as egotistical, lighting guys up on Instagram like KD, we would actually give him more of the respect that he deserves. But because Steph gets buckets,
he wouldn't have the same success on the court.
Bam! Damn, Slick killing you right now.
Y'all sound drunk.
No, we don't sound drunk.
Y'all sound drunk.
First of all, it's Friday. I will be, but I'm not
Steph
yet.
Curry, we finna talk hoops. Y'all be thinking,
you're wrong on this one. It's all love. It's love.
Steph Curry averaged 30 points a game the year before KD and them showed up. Steph Curry averaged 20 shots a game. KD shows up, he says, you know what, I'm going to chill out. He take 18 shots a game. Next year, I'm going to chill out. He takes 16 shots a game. So when KD is there, Steph Curry sacrifices anywhere from 2 to 5 or 2 to 4 shots a game. Steph Curry, that's anywhere from 5 to 10 points a game. We know the translation because he goes from averaging 30 points a game to 25 points a game. It's not that Steph Curry couldn't. It's that he chose not to. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all people.
Oh, man, Slick, can I get a little of these ribs?
Ain't no ribs.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump in, Sellers, because there's a lot of meat still on that bone.
Damn, it's like we had Phillips right there on Crenshaw, all these damn ribs. Okay, here's the thing. All right, in sports, no matter who you are and what your ego is, you do not raise your hand to defer. Like, it is primal instinct to go out there and be alpha male. That's how you climb up the food chain. That's how you become at the top of the pyramid of success. It's natural selection, and it's based off game. Now, we can bring personality and all those other attributes into it. But Acho is up here trying to make it altruistic and say, oh, Steph Curry just went to practice one day and say, you can do whatever you want, Kevin Durant. Let me know where to run and where to go. That's not how it went. Kevin Durant's game talked to Steph's game quietly and said, hey, bro, do you want to do this with effort or do you want the path of least resistance? Because if you give me the opportunities, it's going to be easier for us than if you get the prime opportunities. Same thing happened with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. It's just that simple. It's not about him being so nice and deferring, because who cares about that? Look, Michael Jordan is celebrated greater than everybody. He wasn't nice. He wasn't deferring, and he never was in that situation and the mindset. You know why? We are athletes. We are trying to get it all, but we also know where we fit in. And you look at Durant's game, you look at Curry's game, as great as they both are, Curry, get in where you fit in, because game recognizes game.
No. Greatness and intelligence recognizes sometimes I will sacrifice for the betterment of the team, regardless of how great the sacrifice might have to be. For Magic Johnson, that might look like playing center in a closeout game. For LeBron James, that might look like 40. For LeBron James, that might look like passing the ball when I'm double teamed so that Danny Green can try to make a game-winning shot that he ends up missing. And for Steph Curry, that might just look like deferring for the greater good of the team. Russell Westbrook didn't want to defer. And what had happened, even Draymond Green and his third best player on the team looking self, he starts getting in a beef with KD.
What?
I'm not going to talk about the fact that Steph Curry is not a true alpha, and as a result,
he is an alpha,
and he deferred. For the greater good of the team, sometimes even the player who's just as capable, if not more capable, says, I'm going to kick back because I want us to succeed.
I'm not hearing anything.
Y'all don't understand that. That's the problem. Y'all don't understand
No, we understand it. I don't think you understand the nonverbal communication that occurs on every practice floor, and especially in games. It's just like that, Acho. I'm sorry. Every example you're going to give me, you said Westbrook. Look, when Westbrook went to Houston, he was looking at James Harden like, yeah, you got this. And Westbrook, the first time ever, was acting like a good soldier in that respect. Like, I'm not going to dominate because he knew. I don't know. Look, when I was trying to replace Bruce Smith, when I was playing with Bruce Smith, it wasn't a second in the world where I was like, yeah, I'm going to take it from him. He had to depart for me to have the space to be me. I don't know what example you live in. Pippen was great. Jordan never deferred. Like, who deferred that was actually worse?
Here's the thing,
who has ever deferred that was worse?
The kicker is this. We live in a life now, especially in sports, where it's like, oh, if you defer, that means you're sorry. But maybe, just maybe, or that means you're sorrier. But maybe, just maybe, the greater good is saying, you know what? I'm going to kick back for the team. You brought up Pippen.
I don't think it's kicking back, bro. I think it's getting put back.
You brought up Pippen. Let's go to Pippen. Remember when legendary coach for the Bulls during they runs, Phil Jackson, he drew up the play not for Pippen but for Kukoc.
These are plays.
What Pippen do? Pippen do? He said, you know what? I'm not even going to go into the game.
I love you.
He said, I'm not even going to go into the game.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't even have the humility to say, you know what? For the greater good of the team, maybe Kukoc should get the shot. Maybe I should just inbound the ball. He said, I'm not even going to go into the game. My point is this.
Yeah.
We sit here and try to praise all the scoring champions, James Harden's, all that. We sit here and try to praise all these dudes who put the ball into the basket. But what about the fact that actually the harder thing to do is to swallow your pride, which no athlete has actually been able to do, and Steph Curry has, which is why he's the greatest. I'm done with this conversation.
Swallowing their pride.
Coming up,
they're getting forced to.
The Seahawks offseason has been centered around Russell Wilson.
You ain't good enough.
But we'll tell you if they've done enough to contend in the NFC.
That's called great ain't good enough. Get out of line.
Let's head to Seattle, where the Seahawks have been at the center of trade rumors with Russell Wilson this offseason. But they did manage to make several moves, including signing defensive end Alden Smith to a one-year deal. Smith started 16 games for the Cowboys last season and was second on the team with 5 sacks. So, Marcellus, have the Seahawks done enough to contend in the NFC?
Not on paper. Not enough on paper. I tell you why. If you look at them in terms of additions and subtractions, and then you try to couple that with mindset, there are a lot of question marks up there in Seattle. We know it's been a lot of chatter right now in terms of what's going on in this offseason, Russell Wilson, and a lot of conversations. But let's just be real about this. Because of the second half decline, I won't go as far as collapse, but I just said it, and the identity crisis that comes from that. Then you lose your offensive coordinator in Brian Schottenheimer. Somebody has to be the scapegoat, right? And then you bring in a new one, Shane Waldron from the Rams. All right. Now we got a new offensive coordinator, but we were in decline at the latter part of last season. So there's a huge question mark of who are we and how good can we be versus all of the other teams that are instantly feeling better about their situations in the same division, let alone some of the teams in the conference. If you look at it in terms of what the 49ers are thinking, they're just thinking stay healthy and we got a shot. We'd be back in the Super Bowl, right? And if you look at Arizona, they're like, damn, we started off fast last year, just finished the deal, we'll be all right. And the maturation of our quarterback. If you look at all the other situations, Rams, 49ers, Rams, Matthew Stafford with his no playoff winning but this right here is everything. Trust me. And now you bring in my boy, Deshaun Jackson. What up, cool? Deshaun in the building. So we got it right there. Everybody else is feeling that instant bump, that nitrous. I don't know about the Seattle Seahawks. They're going through internal conversations of, one, how are we going to do it next year? Is Russ going to run on the field with an apron on saying, let me cook? Is the new offensive coordinator ready for this position, ready for this situation, ready to get the most out of these weapons? too many question marks for me to see on paper right now that this team has improved.
I'm not mad at you, not mad at you at all. Colin has a segment, you know, every now and then, getting ready for the show, I'll be watching the herd. Doesn't he have a segment, I think it's Sneaky Big News?
Sneaky Big News.
Sneaky Big News. Bro, I think the Seahawks got a couple sneaky big signings and
let's go.
re-signings. I think the Aldon Smith signing is a sneaky, huge signing.
Okay.
The Carlos Dunlap re-signing is a sneaky, huge signing. Seahawks fans, get excited. Aldon Smith, must I remind you all, he set an NFL record through 2 years, sacks. You know this.
Yes, he's a monster.
First 2 years,
Rangy.
Aldon Smith came out of Missouri and was a dude.
Yeah.
33 and a half sacks his first 2 seasons. NFL record, y'all. All the players that ever played the game, including the great Marcellus Wiley.
I was close, though, but I'm going to tell you about that later.
First 3 seasons, Aldon Smith, third in NFL history in sacks, behind only Reggie White and Derek Thomas. So, Seahawks fans, understand who y'all just got in Aldon Smith. Now you hear, Acho, dude only had 5 sacks last year. Aldon Smith was out of the game of football for 4 consecutive years. So many different off-season issues. I believe they were drug-related issues. So many different issues. Aldon Smith misses 4 years of football, and he comes in and still gets you 5 sacks for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, you're going to Seattle. You've played the game of football for the entirety of a year. You're going to have that recruited knowledge, football movements from the year before. That's huge. Carlos Dunlap had 5 sacks last year for the Seahawks. Remember, he was a midseason trade. He only played 8 games, only started 6 for the Seahawks. 6 starts, 5 sacks. You returning 10 sacks collectively from 2 dudes that really had weird seasons last year.
Okay.
One was in his first season in 4 years, and the other went from Cincinnati across country to Seattle, new defense, and still gave you 5 sacks. The Seahawks' biggest issue last year was their defense. Their team leader in sacks played safety. Jamal Adams. He's a beast at safety, but he is a safety. If a safety led the team in sacks, you, Marcellus, as a defensive end, would probably retire on command.
I'll be right here.
Like, you exactly. If you was a defensive end and you saw a safety lead the team in sacks, you'd be like, whatever I'm doing wrong. So, Seahawks fans, your biggest issue was getting after the quarterback, and I think probably by talent, intra-talent, you might have one of the best pass rushers in the game of football just by the talent of physical ability in Aldon Smith. To me, if y'all ever watch Aldon Smith, he's a dude. And I think they really done enough, Sel. I think they... I might be too hype on Aldon Smith. I might be, because I've seen him and I know what he's capable of. But, Sel,
Don't do this to me.
Really... I have to, man.
Don't do this to me. You know
Sel.
I got some love for Aldon Smith, but in terms of performance, last time we saw love from him in elite level, 2012, bro. Like, you kill me every time I go back in stats and years and calendar and say, well, it happened 4 years ago. And you be like, man, we're talking about today. And you going back to 2012, the last time he had double digits in sacks, and you tell me he going to bust it out in 2021? Dog, I don't know what kind of cars you got in your garage. Yes, I do. You got a Bentley that needs to be washed. Have you watched it yet? Pandemic almost over. People gonna see you. What else you got?
You got the Land Rover. You got the Discovery.
Land Rover or Discovery. Baby mama car. What else you got?
Got a Lexus.
Lexus too? Oh, that's your day-to-day? Okay, so you got the Lexus. All right. Don't start them for a while. Just a month. 2 months. The Lexus probably still gonna roll. That Land Rover in trouble. Trust me, it's always in the shop anyway. Aldon Smith right now. Now, you're sitting there saying, I'm going to jack it up. AAA, come get him. Dog, they tried. Last year, 5 is good off of that layoff. But are we guaranteed
But let me ask you,
double
Phil.
digits?
Let me ask you, because I love where you went with this analogy.
Let's go.
But what happens when that car turned over?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if Aldon Smith, he was revving up last year.
He was.
5 sacks.
He was.
5 sacks in the NFL. I'm not going to act like that's atrocious, just by the way. Like, getting 5 sacks.
You know I ain't. I saw my last 2 years.
5 sacks ain't just easy, particularly if you're always trailing, which the Cowboys were the majority of last year.
Bad defense,
Even when Dak Prescott was playing, they were always trailing.
Okay.
So if you're always trailing and the offense is running the football, then you don't have as many attempts to rush the passers. The same issue you brought up with J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt doesn't have a lot of sacks. Texans were always trailing. J.J. Watt can get a lot of pass rushes. I'm just saying this, man. The Seahawks needed pass rushers. They couldn't rush the passer. Now you're bringing in Aldon Smith, who gave you 5 last year and he hadn't played football in 4 years. Now you're bringing in Carlos Dunlap, who gave you 5 last year in 6 games. If those 2 players
Come on, man.
Can revitalize themselves.
Oh, man.
Then the Seahawks defense can get back to being a top 10 defense. Remember, Russell Wilson, 8-4 in the playoffs when he has top flight defenses, top 5 and above. Russell Wilson, 1-3 in the playoffs when he has 15 and below as far as defensive ranking. If they can meander back into the top 10, Sal, woo, Seahawks gonna make noise. Seahawks gonna make noise.
Hey, I got a Tesla. No, I don't. I got 2. No, I don't. I got 3. Okay, they all not mine, but you ever been out in them streets in Tesla and there's no supercharge station around you? It says 2 miles and the next one is 14 miles away. You're like, what am I going to do? That sounds like your take right now because it's what I start my take off with. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Third offensive coordinator in 7 years for these Seahawks. Okay, another adjustment. More importantly, as every coach always says, it's not about what they do. It's about what we do.
Correct.
Here's the problem. In Seattle, what are they doing? They don't even know fully just yet. Coming up, Dr. J thinks the Nets are buying a championship. Ooh, we'll tell you how we feel about what he said. And that's next on Speak For Yourself. Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series is back on Fox. Catch the sport's top drivers as they battle on the short track at Richmond in the Toyota Owners 400. Catch all the thrill and action Sunday at 3 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Vroom, vroom, vroom. And speaking of this Sunday, don't miss your chance to win $10,000 of Clint Boyer's money during the NASCAR Cup Series race at Richmond. Download the Fox Bet Super 6 app and pick 6 outcomes in Stage 2 for your shot to win. Let's head to Brooklyn, where the Nets were already a title contender with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the opening day roster. But this season, they added former MVP James Harden and 6-time All-Star Blake Griffin. This does not sit well with Hall of Famer Julius Erving, who called out his former team. Take a listen to Dr. J, y'all.
It's reminiscent of how the Yankees used to do all the time. You know, they load up, man. They call it buying a championship. And the Lakers are known for doing that too.
Slick Rick is back, but I'll tell you, you love or hate Dr. J saying this.
I love it, Brad, because Dr. J not lying. You talk about the Nets buying a championship or some teams, some players buying their way in. I'm going to break this down for y'all real simply, Slick. We got other conversations to be had about Steph Curry continuing off air, but let's talk this right now. In basketball, to me, as an former NFL player, the greatest thing they got going on, guaranteed contracts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like the fact that you could be on another team and still be getting paid. You could be retired in some cases and checks are still cashing. Guaranteed contracts to me are the greatest thing about basketball. So if you got a contract that's guaranteed, it would baffle me for you to ever give money up. Like that would just be baffling. If it's guaranteed to you, why in the world would you ever give it up? But it's crazy because Blake Griffin, with his buyout, gave $13.3 million back.
It's nothing.
To join the Nets. It's baffling to me that, unfortunately, LaMarcus Aldridge just had to retire, but with his buyout, he gave $6 million back to join the Nets. So not only are players, the Nets, really buying, if you will, figuratively speaking, these players, but you got players giving money to go to the Nets. Again, now, the other crazy thing I have to mention is James Harden. He kicked, he screamed, he whined, he might have even cried to get to the Nets. Blake Griffin gave up $13 million to get to the Nets. LaMarcus Aldridge gave up $6 million to get to the Nets. As much as you can figuratively buy a championship in basketball, the Nets, that at one point in time had 41 collective all-star appearances on their roster, that's as close to buying a chip as you can get.
Damn.
I hate this for a number of reasons. And the first one is that the team that Dr. J is most closely associated with, the Philadelphia 76ers. They tried to game the system too. They tried to buy a championship by abjectly losing for 4 years in order to get as many #1 picks as they could to try to build a championship team. So if we're going to talk about what's sporting and what's competitive, I don't know that losing purposely all those years in order to get the picks necessary to build a championship team, as opposed to, say, what the Brooklyn Nets have done, which is build a culture and attracted players that other players want to come to because they see the opportunity to win a championship. I'm not going to fault the Nets that LaMarcus Aldridge was willing to give up money and Blake Griffin was willing to give up money because they looked at what the Brooklyn Nets had and said, you know what? I want to go to that market. I want to go to that team. I want to play with those players. But here's the biggest problem with what Dr. J said. The super team model fails almost as often as it succeeds. I mean, look, we can look at what the Warriors have accomplished or what the Miami Heat have accomplished, but the Nets to this point have not won a championship. So They haven't technically bought anything. And what they did is they mortgaged their future in order to put themselves in this position. We still have to see whether it's going to pay off or not. But I can give you the 2000 Blazers, the 2013 Lakers, the 04 Lakers with Kobe, Shaq, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, the 99 Blazers, the 97 to 99 Houston Rockets, where Charles recruited Scottie Pippen and demanded that he be traded to Hakeem Olajuwon. I got the receipts for those, by the way. Woo! All that happened 20-some years ago. So this idea that they bought a championship and they're like the first team or this is a recent occurrence, that is wrong. And that it's a guarantee that it's going to happen, that's wrong too.
Yeah, I love Dr. J, but I hate what he just said here in that nice little chair he was sitting in there right now. Oh, it's a version of virtue signaling. Dr. J trying to sit up on high and say, oh, in my era, and I was so competitive. Ooh, Dr. J, careful. Let's give a tribute to our guy, LeVar Arrington, and sing a song for Dr. J. Y'all ready? Why you always lying? You lying up here, Dr. J. What the hell? You can't trust this Google machine, or can you? Dr. J and his 76ers were 0-3 in the NBA Finals first 6 seasons in Philadelphia. And then all of a sudden, they went out there and got them league MVP, Moses Sweatin' Malone. And all of a sudden, they finally get their title and breakthrough. Is that stacking the deck? Is that loading up? I don't know what you want to call it, but what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Acho, listen to this. Oh, man. Don't hate the player. Hate the game. You talking about all this money, Acho, in people's pockets, counting bank statements and all that. It ain't tricking if you got it. And Blake Griffin like, I got it. I go get what I want. But let's do this, because I want to educate some people out there, because there is a version that all this player empowerment is bad for the league. No, all they did was take the baton from general managers and organizations, say, hey, y'all been doing it since the beginning of time. It's our turn to do it right now. And since player empowerment is taking over, like Slick Rick said, 50-50 results wherever you want to go with it. But let's just look over time where teams stacked the deck. When Jordan and the Bulls added Dennis Rodman. What about the Celtics when they added Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett? The Heat, obviously, with that big three looking good. Warriors added KD. Let's go even further. Let's go deeper than that. Are you an outcast? Bill Russell and them dudes played with 9 Hall of Famers. Let me stop. Showtime Lakers, they went out there balling out of control, 3 Hall of Famers. Man, stop. If you're just mad that players are doing it and not general managers now, say that. But if you act like this is something new to the NBA, Dr. J, why you always lying?
But I'm not going to blame a team necessarily for playing with Hall of Famers, because it depends how you got it. The Golden State Warriors, for example. I don't know how Steph, Clay, and Draymond will all stack up, but I'm not going to look at Golden State and say they had a team of 3 Hall of Famers, because those 3 Hall of Famers and their success was inundated within Golden State. They didn't go out and shop and pick and
you like general managers?
Now,
okay.
As it stands with Dr. J, he isn't necessarily lying, because buying has a connotation of money. You got 17 players in the NBA this year that started the season with at least $33 million contracts. 4 of them play for the Nets. So roughly 25% of the players who got $33 million in the whole NBA are on the Nets roster. You got max contracts deals. 4 players on the Nets signed max contract deals. Only other team, the most another team has, is 3. So when Dr. J is talking about buying a championship like the Yankees, no, you can't actually do that, because baseball, no salary cap, basketball, salary cap. But when I look around and I say 17 players enter the season with a base salary of $33 million, and the Nets got 4 of them players, so 25% of the league with a base salary of $33 million is on one team, That's as close to buying a championship as you can get.
See, this is my exception, Acho, is that you paid top price for, what are we going to go with, the Range Rover or the Bentley? Which one you want to go with?
Go with the Bentley.
Whatever, which one? We'll say for the Range Rover, right? You paid that number, and the expectation is, oh, damn, Acho got the best car. But if the car doesn't get to the finish line, if the car doesn't win you the race, then all you did was spend a lot of money. You didn't necessarily buy anything.
I love that. All I heard was $33 million. I know I'm going to get a couple of texts and a couple of voicemails. Hey, girl, where the Nets play? $33 million? Ain't nothing wrong with you. Got it, big dog. Coming up, Matthew Stafford moved out west side, to sunny Los Angeles. That's right. He moved to my neighborhood. That's all. But we'll tell you if we're sold on the Rams offense. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. I'm lying, y'all, too, don't you?
We're staying right here in L.A. to talk about the Rams. Now, Jared Goff is out, and Matthew Stafford is in after the big offseason trade. Rams wide receiver Robert Woods is already excited about the move, saying, quote, his addition to our offense, adding Deshaun Jackson, our offense is looking loaded once again. So, Marcellus, you sold on these Rams and their offense?
I am sold. You know I'm a Chargers fan. Actually going to go view my season tickets next weekend for the first time since Corona obviously started. I know I'm getting sappy up here and not answer the question, but this really means a lot to me. Think about it. I played for a team, and now I have season tickets like an old man with a gut just sitting there. That's my team. I never thought this would happen.
Were you gifted the season ticket?
No, I paid for them. That's what he paid for me. I paid for him. Thank you. You Dean Spanos. Okay, let me answer this. Yes, I'm sold on the Rams offense, and I will be in that stadium to watch some Rams games as well because of this offense right here. I love Matthew Stafford, and it's tough to have that conversation outwardly because people always look at you, what has he done? I'm like, damn. I can tell you what he would have done if he ever had a top 10 defense because he only had it once in his career. I know what he does possess. A cannon, a gun. I have numerous friends who have played for the Detroit Lions like, dog, you don't understand what's coming at us every single day in terms of his prowess, and especially with his arm talent. That said, I want to talk about Deshaun Jackson and how this is going to be a huge acquisition for him. I know a lot of people are like, Deshaun Jackson, he's off injured of late. So that makes you not respect his gifts and attributes fully right now. But now I got to quote Roy Jones. Remember Roy Jones, boxer? Remember, you used to listen to his songs too? Y'all must have forgot, no? I smoke, I drink. Oh, that's him?
I'm supposed to?
Yes, that's Deshaun Jackson. I smoked, I drank, about to score 10 touchdowns, I think. Deshaun is about to act a fool out here. Matthew Stafford could throw an end zone to end zone. Now you got Deshaun Jackson. All he needs to do is line up. And then if you're a safety, your eyes go like this, and you peek, and you come to realize he gonna mess up all this acreage. Whatever they called, I must bail out. To respect his speed, he could still fly. So you add that with a Cooper Kupp, obviously, and Robert Woods, and how they're great as a duo. It's a lot. Sean McVay is a genius stirring the pot. It's gonna be special.
Bingo, bingo, bingo. Rams offense honestly should put fear in the eyes of everybody in the league. You got Cooper Kupp, you got Robert Woods. Only duo in the league the last 2 years, 180 catches collectively, 2,000 yards collectively. The only duo in the league. That includes Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. That includes the Tyreek Hills and whoever you want to partner him with. So you have arguably the best receiving duo in the league by efficiency. Not by names, not by height, not by stature, just by efficiency.
There you go.
Now you got a quarterback who's one of only 8 players in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards in a season. Some of those names, Dan Marino, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Matthew Stafford. He falls in line of one of only 8 players in the history of football to throw for 5,000 yards in a season. So you got a quarterback that can get the job done. You got a second-year running back now in Cam Akers, rushed for 171 yards in a game last year against the Patriots, who still had a top defense last year, although collectively their team was not great. And then you have probably the most brilliant offensive mind, if not the second most brilliant offensive mind to Andy Reid in the game of football with Sean McVay. So you got Sean McVay as your mind. You got Matthew Stafford, one of only 8 quarterbacks in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards. You got one of, if not the most efficient receiving duo in the league. And you got a young, budding running back in Cam Akers. There's really no weaknesses to the Rams offense. And if there is a weakness or deficiency, Sean McVay will make up for that. Last thing I'm going to say is this.
Say it.
Sean McVay has had top 10 offenses in 3 of his 4 years with the Rams. I believe he's had a top 5 offense in 2 of those. The number 1 offense, the number 3 offense, very early on. You got to be on alert with this Rams offense.
Yeah. Win percentage, 4th best in the NFL, only behind the Saints, Chiefs, Ravens. Respect for what you're saying. But
You still think Deshaun Jackson got it?
Got it. Yes, I know for a fact he has it. We talked last year during the season. Now, I'm not going to say...
Because that's my dog. I play with Deshaun.
Okay, good.
Like,
okay.
That's
well, then why you asking? You questioning your homies then, huh?
I have to, Sal.
Okay,
I mean, I'm looking at... Well, you said it, and I was like, okay, let me see. We played 5 games last year. My dog played 3 games the year before. He played 10 games the year before. He's only played 16 games once in a 13-year career. Now, he's led the league in receiving and yards per reception 4 times. I just like it's a good conversation to have. Like, is it just because he your dog?
No. I can't dry snitch or wet snitch. Let me just say this. There are certain situations where you're incentivized to make sure everyone sees what you got. And there are certain situations where it's not even conducive for your skill set, so therefore people going to sleep on you. Now, the injuries aside, I don't think they were fully utilizing Deshaun Jackson. So I know that there's more in him. And there was more than what was on display. That's all I can say, because I do not want all the smoke. Let's say this going forward. This is a king of omission question, too, because the Rams' defense is going to be the real question mark. Brandon Staley is now our coach. That was their defensive coordinator. What's going to happen with the defense? Number 1 ranked in so many categories. We'll see if they can have that balance. Coming up, Tom Brady has 7. I said 7 Super Bowl wins, but an incoming rookie is being compared to him. What? We'll tell you, Mac Jones. Who, Mac Jones? And the buzz is justified. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Mac Jones could be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft, and he's also being compared to the GOAT. What? Former NFL quarterback, my man, Doug Flutie said, quote, Mac impresses me as a Tom Brady type of guy that is cerebral and doesn't make mistakes. Jones addressed the comparison saying, quote, I don't like to compare myself to him. I've got a long way to go. So, Acho, is the buzz around Mac Jones justified?
It's definitely justified. I mean, dude had 40-plus touchdown passes, only 4 or so interceptions.
Only second
dude threw for 4,500 passing yards. His buzz is justified, but his silence is deafening. The silence that we're not talking about. What is that silence? Why, Sal, do we act like Najee Harris didn't exist? His running back, there was a top-flight running back last year, chose to come back to college, to really all of our surprise. Top-flight running back this year. Oh, but Acho, the Buckeyes had a top-flight running back. Trey Sermon got shipped off from Oklahoma because he fell all the way down to 3rd on the depth chart, goes to Ohio State, plays 4 good games, and now we act like he's in the same category as Najee Harris.
But he's a beast.
Do that. He was a beast for running 4 games.
Oh, that dude.
But I was watching Trey Sermon when he was playing at OU, and I thought he was going to be a dude, and I was like, what happened? I was looking at Oklahoma at the beginning of the season like, dang, where'd he go? They said he transferred to Ohio State. I was like, interesting. Yes, Trevor Lawrence has Travis Etienne, but let's not act like Mac Jones didn't have Devontae Smith. Yes. Justin Fields had a Garrett Wilson, a good sophomore wide receiver. Yes, he had Chris Olave, a good junior wide receiver. But Devontae Smith won the Heisman, y'all, in part because of Mac Jones, true. But Devontae Smith was been a baller. Game winner 3 years ago as a true sophomore when Tua was his quarterback, taking over for Jalen Hurts to sing. So I'm not going to act like Mac Jones made Devontae Smith. Also, Trevor Lawrence played without his best wide receiver, Justin Ross, all season. So, yes, every great quarterback has talent. I'm not ignorant to the talent Ohio State has. I'm not ignorant to the talent that Clemson has. But when I look at the buzz around Mac Jones, it's justified. But the silence around all these stars that he played with, y'all, is deafening. I played a national championship game against Alabama. I lost a national championship game
then you should
against Alabama.
Respect on it then. You lost.
Out here at the in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl.
You don't even remember the place y'all got smashed.
Try to forget it. And look, we played against a great Alabama quarterback, statistically speaking, Greg McElroy.
Not as great as
he also had Julio Jones. He had Mark Ingram. He had Trent Richardson. He had top 3 round offensive linemen. I'm not taking shots. Greg McElroy is my guy. I'm just saying, yo, when you play an Alabama offense and they got Julio Jones at wideout, they got Mark Ingram, a Heisman winner, as a starter, and Trent Richardson, the number 4 overall pick in the draft, as his backup, then yeah, the quarterback probably gonna ball.
Damn. I thought it was the ultimate team game, but the way you talk, you better do it all by yourself. If you have anybody to help you, oh, we're going to take shots at you. Yes, the buzz is justified. I'm going to say it faster than you. Does the ball go where it needs to go? Hell yeah. You remind me of those critics that had me and poisoned the well in my head when we drafted Drew Brees. Because they kept telling me, well, he has limited athletic ability. Oh, he can't see over the offensive line. Oh, question marks about his arm talent and his arm strength. Then I started watching him throw. I was like, he put the ball where he wanted to. All he got to do is wait for the game to figure it out, and he became Drew Brees. I love this. You keep saying, well, he threw for 4,500 passing yards. Don't act like everybody does that at Alabama, because he's the first in school history. Okay, set a single-season record in completion percentage. Boy, stop. And 4 of the 10 career 400-yard passing games go to who? Mac Jones. Okay, walk with me here, Acho, because you're side-eyeing me right now. I have a little talent. John Heller, Andy, that's the real talent. You know, research, production, you know, give him love. Coven as well, but he never worked with me. So walk with me here, Acho. This is poetic. Just 3 years ago at this time, we were preparing to watch Lamar Jackson be the 5th quarterback drafted in the first round, right? He was picked after Baker Mayfield, who's now 23 and 22 as a starter. Tread water. Sam Darnold, who was traded for later round picks. Josh Allen, he's balling. Josh Rosen, 3rd string on his 4th team. Lamar dropped because of his style of play. Remember that? If you can believe that. Slightly less lethal running version of his style of play, taking over the league. Everybody trying to be Lamar Jackson-ish now, right? You fast forward, now this flipped. Everybody hating on a traditional pocket passer in Mac Jones. His style of play, yuck, yuck, yuck. Now let's remind everybody who won the Super Bowl last year. Was it the style of play of a Mac Jones, or was it closer to Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes? Some things never go out of style. Some things are always great for football. Coming up, the Honey Badger is throwing serious shade at players on social media. I nailed it. Thank you, Heller. Is he calling out Juju? That's the question. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Acho, make it make sense, man.
The Honey Badger does not care, and that's true for Ty Mathieu. He threw some shade to some players yesterday, tweeting, they want YouTube subscribers. I want Hall of Fame votes. I am not one of them. Please. So, Marcellus, what you think about Ty throwing shade, and who he throwing shade at?
Oh, I think he throwing some shade. You know what comes with shade, though? A little jealousy, too, a little jelly. I respect, though, Tyrann Mathieu. I think he's throwing it at Juju, because Juju flirted with his team and the Chiefs and then high-sided and went back to Pittsburgh. He's like, why you come out if you want to go back home? Like that. That said, Juju has over 1 million YouTube subscribers. There's not a shot in hell that he's going to make it to the Hall of Fame based on this pace right now. But this was crazy. OBJ, who I thought he was taking a shot at too, only has 389 YouTube subscribers. But he got a shot at the Hall of Fame. Just interesting how this world is flipped upside down.
Yeah, the shade that he's throwing, I don't even like it. Because at the end of the day, if you can earn 2 streams of income, you do you. I like Ty Mathieu. I love his game. But when it comes down to it, you be making money on YouTube, too, now.
Yeah.
I respect the 2 streams.
Yeah, it's almost like since you can't do it as well as them, you're going to hate on it and shade on it. But in reality, stick to yours, man. Have a great weekend, y'all. Fox Bet Live next.